Welcome back to Lee Anderson's Real World. It's time for the round the table discussion with Stephen Pound and Vince Cable. These are a great double act, by the way. Look, we're going to talk about something really serious because this week we've seen a colleague of mine, Tobias Ellwood, his house was, there was a demonstration outside his house. It got a little bit nasty, and we're seeing more and more that MPs' safety, personal safety, is coming under threat, Stephen. What more can we do to help sort this problem out?
Well, I think we've got a real dilemma here, Lee. Look, if an MP is going to be available and accessible to the public, and I think you have to be, you can't lock yourself up in an ivory tower, then you're going to have this risk. The point about Tobias Ellwood, he's not the only case. I mean, there have been hundreds of cases of MP surgeries being attacked, mobs outside. Look, I mean, I was PPS to Stephen Timms when he got attacked and stabbed in his surgery. It happened. I've been hit 2-3 times as an MP. People have come in, literally come into my surgery and made some accusation against me, just punched me. You know, it's not good enough, but I think in this particular case, in the Bournemouth case with Tobias Ellwood, the police were first of all asked, to attend, and they said, shall we disperse them? Tobias Ellwood quite rightly said, you do that, you're going to have a riot. Yeah. So I think what we have to do is to be sensible. We have, I mean, at the moment, most MPs have some sort of security system. I had a panic button. I don't know if you had, Vince, but I had a panic button on my desk when I was doing my surgeries. But look, the bottom line is, you put yourself in the public eye. I'm afraid you have to take the flag.
So I've got panic buttons at home, Vince. We've got the panic button lanyards for my staff. We let the local police know whenever we're moving about to a different location for a surgery. I did a coffee morning a few weeks back and invited a couple of council wards to come. There's probably about 80 or 90 turned up in the end, but we were seeing things, you see things online like, let's turn up, let's throw eggs at him, let's go and do all this sort of nonsense. And it's usually from one particular part of politics, that the kind of gentler type of politics that we see. But I'm sure at some time, Vince, in your political career, you had to put up with this sort of nonsense.
Yeah, I had, riots outside my constituency office, personal abuse, quite a lot of threats. But actually, well, first of all, I agree with Stephen. You've got to be accessible. You can't hide MPs away. But the other is that the worst problems I had, and I suspect many MPs, are not from politically motivated people. It's sort of personality disorders, people with mental illness who get carried away. They threaten your staff, they threaten your partners, they threaten you. Yeah, you've got to work with the police on it. I never had a panic button, but I think there's a lot of people in public life who are exposed to this, and you can't hide from it, and we shouldn't try to make politics some private protected space.
Can I just say one thing that's terrible about this? I live in my constituency, and I've always lived there. My kids went to school there, and me and the wife sat down and we said, should our children be going to the same school that I went to in my constituency? Because I knew that they were going to get grief and they were going to get flack at school. And we decided in the end we couldn't hide away. And so, but it was a real decision. I think a lot of MPs nowadays, on the one hand, they're accused of not living in their constituencies. On the other hand, for safety reasons, and particularly their children, they actually live outside. That's a real dilemma.
You see, people don't think about that.
There is a particular problem, I think, with some of our women colleagues.
Very much so.
Had to put up with much more.
But Stephen makes a good point that we've got families as well. So it's not just us as MPs, as politicians, it's our children, it's our partners, it's our mums, our dads, or whatever. They sort of get the flack as well, Vince.
Yeah, well, my late wife had to open an envelope once which had excrement inside it, which is the kind of thing some MPs get sent. And they are exposed to this. But I found actually my late wife and my wife now were very, very supportive. And didn't urge me to step down from public life.
No, when I first got sent to Northern Ireland, I discovered that the special branch was actually following my children to school once or twice, just to see the route that my kids took to school. And they didn't tell me about this. I found out about this after. I was quite grateful that they did do it. But I think for me, it was the threat to the children and the family, but also to women MPs, they get it far, far worse.
I think constituents, Stephen, I know in my constituency, because I'm pretty much like you, I was born there, lived there all my life, I won't live anywhere else, I refuse to. But my constituents like to see me in the pubs, in the shops, in the street, at the petrol station, filling my car up. They like that from their local representative, and we cannot get away from that.
Yeah, rightly so.
You also get, every single time I used to be on the bus coming back from Ealing Broadway Station, somebody, every flipping night, would come up to you and say, I bet you're claiming this on expenses, aren't you, Mr. Pat? And I took it because, you've got to take it on.
Yeah, you're fair game for criticism, you're fair game for stuff like that.
My experience, and I'm sure it's yours as well, is that for every person who is nasty and threatening, you get 50 who are extremely pleasant and great to see you around. doing good job, whatever, you know. So
And we get gifts through the post sometimes.
Yeah,
We have a few
sometimes.
ties,
Yeah, well,
cufflinks.
we're talking about dodgy envelopes. One of my brothers is a priest, and he's the only person I've known outside politics that understands this business about. He walks down to the shop to get the paper, and 4 or 5 people will stop him on the street.
Yeah.
Vince and I walked when we were MPs, and you of all people,
Yeah, yeah.
You walk down to the paper shop, you walk down to the pub. I guarantee half a dozen people,
It does, yeah.
which is why you carry all those cards in your pocket
Yeah.
to give out to because you can't write it down all
Yeah.
the time.
Well, what I tend to do is get my phone out and just drop an email to my
You're
office.
such a 21st century.
Well, I'm not, but you're right, Stephen. A 20-minute walk can turn into a 2-hour stroll because people come out and they try and stop you.
That's the right way to
Yeah.
do it.
Yeah, I think
I
so.
don't care what you say.
But look, we're around the table again, guys. We're going to do the yes or no quiz now. I've got 5 questions. You know how this works, Stephen. You know it, and I've not shown my guest the questions beforehand. So
So, do you want another beer, yes or no? Can I answer that now?
Wrong answer. Right. We're going to do it now. Vince and Stephen. 5 questions. Vince, has Sir Keir rooted out anti-Semitism within the Labour Party?
no, clearly not.
Stephen.
Not yet.
Wrong answer. It's a yes or no, Stephen. You've been on the show about 5 times.
No.
So I can't give you that answer, my friend. So that's wrong. Number 2, this is a more difficult one, Stephen. Should the Church of England stop helping illegal migrants convert to Christianity?
No.
No.
Number 3, this is for you first, Vince. Is Stephen Pound a secret Tory?
No, definitely not.
Stephen?
You want some?
And another incorrect answer. So he's not getting the grip of this. He's been on about 5 times. Well, we'll see. Stephen, are we going to have an autumn election?
Yes.
That's what you've got 2 so far. Vince.
No.
Ooh, Vince. For you, Vince, should the NHS be privatised?
No.
No.
So, clear winner. Vince Cable, so Vince has won. He's got 5. Stephen, you've got a pathetic 3. And when you consider you've been on this show like more than anybody else, you're going backwards. What's going off?
Story of my life, mate.
Yeah, do you want to come back on one? Which one do you want to come back on? Are you a secret Tory?
Of course I'm not. Look, in politics, you've got the extremes of the left and you've got the extremes of the right. I like to think that there's certain things that all of us want. Every one of us wants our families to be safe, secure, well-fed and warm. There's some basic things that apply to all of us. Yeah. And I'm happy to that. I would describe myself as sort of centre-left, if you want to call it that way. Left. Ultimately, I am a socialist, but I'm a democratic socialist. I believe that we don't tell the people what to do, the people tell us what to do. And as far as I'm concerned, that's the right thing. But there's so much we got in common. So let's not concentrate on those things that divide us.
Vince, you gave an interesting answer on the autumn election. When do you think the elections are going to be?
I think they might call it short, actually.
So?
A bit of good economic news comes along, the Labour Party temporarily in trouble. You know, a bit of sharp opportunism might work for them.
Do you think so?
And it can only get worse politically.
I thought things would only get better.
Yeah, no, that was our side. Look, the reality is that I exclude you from this, but there's about 70 or 80 Tory MPs going to lose their seats. There's no way that they're going to do anything other than hang on to the last possible minute. I don't care what you say.
Okay. Right, that's brilliant, guys. Yes or no quiz. Stephen Pound he's slipped. You slipped further back, haven't you, on this quiz, mate? I don't know what's going on with you, Stephen.
I'm just not as competitive.
It's too much of that beer, I think. You need to keep off the beer before the yes or no.
Not enough of that.
There was a time when you was getting 5 out of 5. You've gone backwards. Quite pathetic score today.